Today, Norwest is excited to announce our investment in Llama Index. I'm Dave Zollerman. I'm here with my colleague, David Glazer, and from Llama Index, Jerry Liu. Well, Jerry, we'd love to hear the origin story of Llama Index.
Basically, this all started as an open source project back in 2022. People were just starting to play around with GPT-3. I basically hacked around with the GPT-3 API around the same time that a lot of other developers were doing so. And I had a really hard time trying to feed it enough context to actually get it to spit out useful information. And so I thought, how do I actually have it understand not just pre-trained information, but actually like our entire Notion database of company data. And so I basically created this open source project. It was called GPT Index at the time. That created some indexing algorithms to try to index large volumes of data so that you could use it with LLMs, even though it wasn't actually trained on that data. This is basically the month before ChatGPT actually launched as a service. And so it basically came at the right place at the right time. And then over the course of 2024, last year, we really started thinking about how do we better enable developers to bring their agents into production and not just kind of build initial POCs, especially in the areas of how do you actually build these types of applications over your data. So we started creating the first versions of our commercial offering, which is now called Llama Cloud, which offers, the production level knowledge management service that developers need to basically build their agents into production. And so here we are today. We've evolved a lot since the early days, but excited to move forward.
Llama Index has had amazing adoption with open source and the community. As you've engaged with a couple dozen commercial customers, what are you learning from them? What are enterprise requirements that are vital to them? Why are enterprises buying?
We start off with just some of the pain points that, developers are actually facing and going to production. There's accuracy issues and actually building up even your basic RAG chatbots that actually work well over large corpuses of data. And when you actually kind of extend that to the limit, you basically realize not every developer within every enterprise should just be reinventing a search retrieval system over their unstructured data and kind of reinventing the same pipeline. And that bubbles up to the decision makers. Oftentimes, some of these projects take a long time to actually ship. There's a lack of clarity in a centralized architecture to have the entire team build on top of. We kind of went from these individual developer conversations as a function of the community to really realizing some of the more higher level, team level, or even org level pain points that some of these enterprises faced. And that really helped influence some of the direction that our commercial product has taken, which is really meant to both enable developers, but also teams to go to production faster with these types of agents over their data.
There's a lot going on in the space between the large language models, the reasoning models, open source models. Where do you see the space going, and how does Llama Index kind of fit into this roadmap?
Especially after ChatGPT launched, there was a lot of interest in just building even the basic applications that worked. This basically was the RAG chatbot that everybody started with. The UX for that requires a human to be in the loop a lot of the time. And as a result, it does introduce some sort of time savings or knowledge worker productivity gains, but not by a significant amount. And I think what people are really interested in, the potential of agents, is basically to enable these workers to operate much more efficiently, from 10% efficiency to 50 or even 80% plus efficiency. And I think that's where, you're starting to see some use cases emerge around being able to actually automate more workflows end to end. And that's what we're excited about. And so especially this year, I think we're going to see a lot more agents in production, especially as the reasoning capabilities of these models get better, both open source and proprietary. And they also become faster and cheaper to run inference on.
We are so excited to partner with you and Simon and the entire Llama Index team because we very much believe in an agentic enterprise, but it's also very much based on data. As you think about the next stages of the business, what were some of the contributing factors that you, Simon, and the team decided were vital to raise this financing? And where do you anticipate the company going with this capital?
We're excited to use the financing to grow the team in two ways. Continue growing the engineering team, the right balance of scrappiness, but also engineering maturity. Data processing is oftentimes a hard problem. There's all the fun algorithmic challenges you need to solve. And then there's also just hard enterprise problems around authentication, connections, reliability, scalability that you also need to solve to make this something that is actually a reliable piece of infrastructure. And the second thing is also scaling up, go-to-market. We've done a pretty good job addressing the developer community. As we bring on more sales and marketing and just other types of help in those areas, then, we can really rapidly reach out to more customers. And increase adoption. I think we've built a lot of the core technical components. We have really, really nice capabilities around like parsing, extraction, like critical steps that you need on top of your data to enable agents to actually access them. We're really excited about kind of building the entire suite of capabilities end to end to really create this entire engine or platform to enable other enterprises to build on top of. So there's a bit of like product evolution that we're building towards this year to both make these end-to-end workflows more accurate, but also faster for developers to build and also ship to production. And this includes like unifying the agent orchestration with the knowledge management layer.